Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna, and thanks for being here. And again, I'm recording this because I'm traveling this weekend, and I don't want to miss uploading our chronological read. And if you watched yesterday's, you may have noticed that I kind of did a summary as I read. So I'm not going to summarize what we read yesterday. If you didn't check it out, go back and watch yesterday's. We're going to just plug ahead and get today's reading out the way. Today is Saturday, April 26th, and I hope your Saturday is going to be amazing. I have a full concert lineup of jazz artists, so for me, I'm already having a great day. All right, friends, so we're going to start off in Samuel, chapter 12, verse 26 through 31. And I put on the screen our read for today so you can kind of follow along where we are. Before we do, let's say our prayer. Lord, thank you for every single soul that is gathered here today. Thank you for everyone who can hear my voice. Please give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to gain some insight and inspiration from your text today. All right, my friends, 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 26 through 31 is where we're going to start. Now Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have fought against Rabbah. Moreover, I have taken the city of waters. Now then gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest I take the city and it be called by my name. So David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And he took the crown of their king from his head. The weight of it was a talent of gold, and in it was a precious stone, and it was placed on David's head. And he brought out the spoil of the city, a very great amount. And he brought out the people who were in it and set them in labor with saws and iron picks and iron axes, and made them toil at the brick kilns. And thus he did to all the cities of the Ammonites. Then David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. So we see fighting continuing. All right, 1 Chronicles 20 might be a repeat. And David took the crown of the king from his head. He found that it weighed a talent of gold, and in it was a precious stone. And it was placed on David's head, and he brought out the spoil of the city, a very great amount. And he brought out the people who were in it and set them to labor with saws and iron picks and axes. And thus David did to all the cities of the Ammonites. Then David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. So yeah, that was a repeat. All right, let's keep going. 2 Samuel 13, Ammon and Tamar. Now Absalom, David's son, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar. And after a time, Ammon, David's son, loved her. And Ammon was so tormented that he made himself ill because of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and it seemed impossible to Ammon to do anything to her. But Ammon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemiah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very crafty man. And he said to him, O son of the king, why are you so haggard morning after morning? Will you not tell me? Ammon said to him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Jonadab said to him, lie down on your bed and pretend to be ill. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, let my sister Tamar come and give me bread to eat and prepare the food in my sight, that I may see it and eat it from her hand. So Ammon lay down and pretended to be ill. And when the king came to see him, Ammon said to the king, please let my sister Tamar come and make a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat from her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go to your brother Ammon's house
did this
and
terrible
prepare
thing
food for him,
violating his own
Tamar
sister,
went to
and
her
then
brother
hated
brother
her afterwards.
Ammon's house.
She
where
begged
he
him not
was
to
laying
do it,
down,
and he
she
did
took
it
dough
anyway. And then
kneaded
it's
it and
almost
made
as if
cakes
he's
in
blaming
his
her
sight and
for it.
baked the cakes.
He sounds definitely
took
like
the
he has
pan
some mental
and
illness
emptied it
going
out
on, because
before
remember
him,
earlier
but he
it said
refused to eat.
he was tormented
And Ammon
about
said,
his feelings. So
send out everyone
Ooh,
from
well,
me.
let's see how this
so
ends.
Everyone went out from him.
Verse 23.
Then Ammon said to Tamar,
After
bring
2
the
full
food
years,
into the chamber
Absalom had
that I may
sheep
eat from your hand.
sheep shearers
and Tamar
at
took the
Baal
cakes
Hazor,
she had
Hazor,
made and brought
which is
them
near
into the chamber
Ephraim,
to
and
Ammon her
Absalom
brother.
invited all
But
the
when
king's
she
sons,
brought them near to
and
him
Absalom
to eat,
came
he
to
took
the
hold
king
of her
and
and said to her,
Behold, your
come lie
servant
with
has
me,
sheep
my
shearers.
sister. She
Please
answered
let
him,
the king
no,
and
my
his
brother,
servants
do
go
not
with your
violate
servant.
me. For
But the
such
king
a
said
thing
to
is not
Absalom,
done in Israel.
No, my son,
do not do
let
this
us not all
outrageous
go,
thing,
lest we be
as
burdensome
for
to
me,
you.
where should I
pressed
carry
him,
my
but he
shame?
would not
And
go,
as for
but
you,
gave him his
his
blessing
as one
Then
of the
Absalom
outrageous
said,
fools
If
in
not,
Israel.
please let my brother
Now
Ammon go
therefore,
with us. Please
and the
speak to
king
the
said to
king,
him,
for he will
why
not
should he
withhold
go with
me
you?
from you.
But Absalom
But
pressed
he
him
will
until
not
he
listen
let
to her,
Ammon and all the
being
king's
stronger
sons
than
go with
she,
him.
he violated
Then
her
Absalom
and
commanded
lay
his
with
servants,
her. Mark when
Oh, boy.
Ammon's heart is
Then
merry
Ammon
with wine,
hated her
and when
with
I say to
very
you,
great
strike
hatred,
Ammon,
so
then
that the
kill
hatred
him.
with
Do not
which he
fear.
hated her
Have I
was
not
greater
commanded
than the
you?
love
Be
which
courageous
he
and
had
be
loved her.
valiant.
And
So
Ammon
the
said to
servants
her,
of Absalom
get up,
did as
go.
Ammon and
But she
Absalom
said to
had
him,
commanded.
no, my brother,
Then all the
for
king's
this
sons
wrong in
arose,
sending
and
me away
each
is
mounted
greater
his
than
mule
that
and
other
fled.
that you
While they
did
were
to me.
on the way, news came to
But he
David.
would not listen to
Absalom
her.
had struck down
He
all
called
the
the
young
young
men
men
who served him,
not
and
one
said,
of them is
Put
left.
this woman
Then
out
the
of my
king
presence,
arose
and
tore
bolt the
his
door
garments
after
and
her.
lay on the earth.
Now she was
And all
wearing
his
a long
servants who
robe
were
with
standing
sleeves,
by
tore their
thus
garments.
were the virgin
Jonadab,
daughters
the
of the
son
king
of Shemaiah,
dressed.
David's
So
brother,
his servant
said,
put her
Let
out,
not
and
my
bolted
lord
the door
suppose that
after
they
her.
have killed
And
all the
Tamar
young
put
men,
ashes
the
on her
king's
head,
sons,
and
tore
tore
the
Ammon
long robe
alone
that
as
she
she
wore.
For
And
by the
she
command
laid
of
her hand on
Absalom,
her head,
this has been
and went
determined
away,
from the
crying
day he
aloud
violated
as
his
she
sister
went.
Tamar. And her
Now
brother
therefore let
Absalom
not my
said to
lord
her,
the king
has
so
Ammon
take it
your
to
brother
heart
been
as
with
to
you?
suppose
Now
that
hold
all
your
the
peace,
king's
my
sons
sister.
are dead.
He is
For
your brother.
Ammon
Do
alone
not take
is
this
dead.
to heart. So Tamar
34.
lived a desolate
But
woman
Absalom
in her
fled,
brother
and the young
Absalom's
man
house.
who kept the
When
watch
King
lifted
David
up his
heard of
eyes
all
and
these things,
looked. He
and
was very
behold,
angry.
many people
But
were coming
Absalom
from the
spoke
road
to
behind
Ammon,
him,
neither
by
good
the
nor
side of
bad.
the mountain.
For
And
Absalom
Jonadab
hated
said to the
Ammon,
king,
because
behold,
he had
the king's
violated
sons
his
have
sister
come,
Tamar,
as your servant said.
Wow,
So it has
that's-
come about.
that's awful.
And
moment.
as soon as he
Absalom
had finished
returns
speaking,
to Jerusalem.
behold, the king's sons
Now
came
Joab,
and
the
lifted
son
up
of
their
Zeruiah,
voice
knew
and
that the
wept.
king's heart went
And the
out
king
to
also
Absalom,
and all his
and Joab
servants
sent
wept
to
Tekoa,
bitterly,
and brought from
but
there
Absalom
a wise
fled
woman
and
and
went
said
to
to her,
Talmai,
pretend
the
to be a
son of
mourner
Ammihud,
and put
king
out
of
mourning
Geshur.
garments.
And
Do
David
not
mourned
anoint
for
yourself
his
with
son
oil,
that day,
but
day after
behave like
day.
a woman who
So
has been
Absalom
mourning many
fled
days
and
for
went
the
to
dead.
Geshur,
Go
and
to
was
the
there
king and
3
speak
years.
thus to him.
And the spirit
So
of the
Joab
king
put the
longed
words
to
in
go
her
out
mouth
to Absalom,
when the woman of
because
Tekoa
he
came
had
to the
come
king. She fell on
comforted
her face to the
about
ground
Ammon,
and paid
since he
homage
was
and said,
dead.
"Save me, O king."
Wow.
And the king
Well,
said to her,
God did
"What is
promise
your
that
trouble?"
David's
She
house
answered,
would see violence.
"Alas, I am a
Remember,
widow.
that's one of the
My husband is
consequences
dead.
of what he
And your
did
servant has
when
two
he
sons,
killed,
and they quarreled with one another in the
Bathsheba's
field.
husband.
There was
So,
no one to
we're
separate
seeing
them.
a
And
lot
one
of that
struck
curse
the other
come-
and killed
come
him.
to fruition right now.
And now the whole clan
All right,
has
here's our
risen
last
against
reading,
your
2
servant.
Samuel,
And they
chapter
say,
14.
"Give up the man who struck his brother, that we may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed." And so they would destroy the heir also. Thus they would quench my coal that is left, and I leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the face of the earth. 8. Then the king said to the woman, "Go to your house, and I will give orders concerning you." And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, "On me be the guilt, my lord the king, and on my father's house let the king and his throne be guiltless." The king said, "If anyone says anything to you, bring him to me, and he shall never touch you again." 11. Then she said, "Please let the king king, invoke the Lord your God, that the avenger of blood kill no more, and my son be not destroyed? He said, as the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Then the woman said, please let your servant speak a word to my lord the king. He said, speak. And the woman said, why then have you planned such a thing against the people of God? For in giving this decision, the king convicts himself, inasmuch as the king does not bring his banished one home again. We must all die. We are like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. But God will not take away life, and he devises means so that the banished one will not remain an outcast. 15. Now I have come to say this to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid. And your servant thought, I will speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his servant. 16. For the king will hear and deliver his servant from the hand of the man who would destroy me and my son together from the heritage of God. And your servant thought, the word of my lord the king will set me at rest. For my lord is king is like the angel of God to discern good and evil. The Lord your God be with you. 18. Then the king answered the woman, do not hide from me anything I ask you. And the woman said, let my lord the king speak. The king said, is the hand of Joab with you in all this? The woman answered and said, as surely as you live, my lord the king, one cannot turn to the right hand or to the left from anything that my lord the king has said. It was your servant Joab who commanded me. It was he who put all these words in the mouth of your servant. In order to change the course of things, your servant Joab did this. But my Lord has wisdom like the wisdom of the angel of God to know all things that are on the earth. 21. Then the king said to Joab, behold, now I grant this. Go, bring back the young man Absalom. And Joab fell on his face to the ground and paid homage and blessed the king. And Joab said, today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, in that the king has granted the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him dwell apart in his own house. He is not to come into my presence. So Absalom lived apart in his own house and did not come into the king's presence. 25. Now in all Israel there was no one so much to be praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair of his head, he weighed the hair of his head 200 shekels by the king's weight. There were born to Absalom 3 sons and 1 daughter whose name was Tamar. She was a beautiful woman. So Absalom lived 2 full years in Jerusalem without coming into the king's presence. Then Absalom sent for Joab to send him to the king, but Joab would not come to him. And he sent a second time, but Joab would not come. Then he said to his servants, see, Joab's field is next to mine, and he has barely there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and went to Absalom at his house and said to him, why have your servants set my field on fire? Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent word to you, come here that I may send you to the king to ask, why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me to be there still. Now therefore let me go into the presence of the king, and if there is guilt in me, let him put me to death. Then Joab went to the king and told him, and he summons Absalom. So he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. Wow. Okay, well, that's our reading for today. I'm not going to summarize that. I need some time to really digest that. So go and have a great Saturday, and thank you for being here, and come back tomorrow for our Sunday reading. All right. Bye.